Hey everyone, so you guys submitted your Q&A questions for me, and I decided to do Sunday Q&A, which basically means on Sundays is when I will be doing Q&A videos. I can't promise it'll be every single Sunday, but it'll always occur on a Sunday, if that makes sense. So, but yeah, I'm in my PJs, here's my slippers, and I've got my chamomile tea, so the noise you hear in the background is a fan going. It's a little warm down here. It's been chilly outside lately, so someone finally decided to adjust the thermostat so that the heat is on, and being that I'm in the basement, like all this, the place where all the air conditioning and heat comes from is like just like on the other side of like two more walls, and so my room is actually first on the line to receive air from the furnace, so yeah, it's a little stuffy, so sorry, there's not a lot I can do about the noise. And also, if you happen to hear banging and sawing upstairs, actually my dad or somebody is up there fiddling around with floorboards and with I think the cord around that goes around the base of the wall. They're having wallpaper put in sometime this month, and so they're just kind of getting ready. But yeah, if you hear any loud noises, that's what that is. Don't be alarmed. No one's like, the house isn't falling down. I'm safe. So anyway, so your Q&A questions, I'm looking at them right now. You guys actually did submit some pretty good ones. There weren't really a whole lot, but one person did put like a big long, what I called a sampler platter of questions, since this person had taken notice that there were not many questions. So I'm not sure if this person's a male or a female, but they go by, can I get this, no, can I get that in black? But just wanted to say thanks to that person for giving me all these wonderful questions to pick from. So, but yeah, good questions. Actually, questions that are like relatively deep that I can elaborate on when I provide an answer. So I'm just going to go up to the top and start with the first actual question. Okay, I hope I pronounced this person's name correctly. If I mispronounce a name, I really do apologize. Renee Heinrich. I'm not sure how you pronounce your name, Renee. She asks, I'm not sure, well actually Renee could be a guy's name, I'm sorry, I'm not sure if you're a guy or a girl. So Renee asks, what is your favorite book and why? Well, I've got two answers for that question. I remember reading really thick, ridiculous novels at a very young age. I think I was like in the 5th grade and reading like The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo, or I was reading like Watership Down. I mean, stuff that really did have some inappropriate stuff in it that I probably, you know, most kids would not be reading, and most kids probably would not be able to comprehend. But I remember being in the 6th grade, and I picked up The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux, and thinking that it was going to be like this, you know, really sort of sad love story, because that's how the movies have always depicted that story, as very sugar-coated. Well, when I started reading it, and I got a little farther, I'm like, this is not actually a love story at all. This is not a love story. This is actually a portrait of human behavior, is essentially what this is. In the book, the character the Phantom is actually, he really truly is a monster by every facet of the definition. He is cruel, he is extremely selfish, he is extremely vindictive, manipulative, bully almost, you could say. Christine is actually very vapid, very shallow. She's extremely manipulative towards Raoul, her beau, her boyfriend, whatever you want to call him. And it's literally, she's kind of a spoiled princess in a way. She has no coping skills. She's kind of gimpy. She's not particularly smart or resourceful. Raoul actually is the only character that stands out as being the one that's like strong and decent and wants to do the right thing, and it just does not want to have to put up with anybody's bullshit, and gets frustrated when all the dynamics between the other characters, it's all drama. And pretty much the whole point of the book, I think, is that people are shitty. People are shitty, and it's on some level everyone is a monster. Even though in the story, The Phantom of the Opera, the Phantom is considered a grotesque. He's supposed to be a representation of the twisted or deplorable side of humanity. All the characters are. In my opinion, they're all grotesques because the way they act. They're all really shitty people. In the end, of course, he dies. I remember reading something in the very back of the book, like some kind of, I guess, epilogue, I guess, or something, and at the end, talking about how this story is based on actual events. This is something that supposedly actually did happen. So, I found that really fascinating, but yes, that is my favorite book, simply because it's shocked me so much. I was so used to the sugar-coated versions of that story, and the way Hollywood has depicted it, and it's just, it may as well be a goddamn cartoon. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still enjoy the musical, Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical. I enjoy the film based on the musical. I mean, it is, it is fun to watch, it's entertaining, but that's not at all what the book is like. So, yeah. That's my favorite book. My other answer to that question is a book that I actually do have in my possession. And I found this at the Goodwill of all places, and this was like one of those things I think I was meant to find it because it was in such a strange place. I happened to be walking by, and I was in the furniture area, and I walked by, and there was like this ugly end table that had this ugly, like big, tall, frilly looking potted plant on it. It was fake and plastic and really ugly, and I'm walking by going, oh my god, that plant looks so fucking stupid. And I look down and I'm like, is that a book? And so I pick it up. So I pick up this book. And I open it up and the front immediately falls off, in which I went ahead and taped it, even because I never plan on parting with this book, so I don't see a reason to not tape it, because I want to keep the front and the back on. I pick it up and I'm like looking at it, and I'm noticing that like the styling of the binding on it is just beautiful. And look at this carving, or this, I guess, imprint or whatnot on the pages, and they're like this pretty gold leaf too. Look at that. They don't make books like this anymore. And here's what the book is. It's Tennyson's poems. And so I'm looking through this book that I just picked up. Oh no! Oh no, the last page finally came detached. That's not good. I'll just lay it down here for a minute. And I'm thinking, God, this book is old. I wonder what the copyright is. So I'm thumbing through it. Oh, and it used to belong to somebody named Edith Leary Davis. Here's a name scribed in the... Oh, look at the penmanship! This person, Edith, I mean, she must have really loved this book. I kind of get that impression. Also because, like, there's like little ribbons where people have marked their poems they liked over the years, and I've just left the ribbons where they are. Because they're so old, I don't want them to fall apart when I take them out. So, and like some of the pages you can see, like there's like some mildew on there, but I'm trying to get to the spot where it talks about when this book was printed, or published. It says, London, Rutledge, Warren, and Rutledge, Farrington Street, New York, 56 Walker Street, 1864. So, yeah. That's how old this book is. And I feel as though I was supposed to find it, because I don't think anybody else would have appreciated this book. And it's got these wonderful little illustrations all through it. Hang on, I just saw like a really nice one. Illustration for a poem called The Sea Fairies. I can't open the book up all the way, otherwise I'm afraid the pages will break off, so I'm having to be very, very careful. But look at that. Is that not, like, cool? I mean, this is probably either a wood carving or linoleum press in ink drawing, where they basically carve the image into wood and then roll ink onto it, then press it onto a piece of parchment to create the image. And there's something else about this book, that this book taught me something that I did not know. Those of you who are familiar with Emily Autumn know of her song, Shalott. And in the song, it's describing a woman who lives alone, basically in like a tower, or in some kind of tower or something, and she's talking about how she's gonna die young or something like that, and she's very sad, and she's just kind of waiting to die, and she's talking about all the things in life that she wanted but can't have, and but anyway, I'm looking through this book, and I found a poem called The Lady of Shalott. And I'm reading through it, and I'm seeing lines from this poem that actually match some certain lines from Emily Autumn's song. And so essentially I think what she did was she took this poem and she must have been really inspired by it, or she had some kind of wonderful imagery in her mind and she wanted to turn that into a song. And I had no idea that that song was based on a poem, but now I know. And now you know. So, that's my other favorite book. It's okay, I can fix it. With more tape. So, alright Renee, I hope that answered your question. Next. Gigi Hobbs asks, what would your favorite project you have ever done be? Let's see, anything special that gives you inspiration, or does it just come to you? My favorite project I've ever done. Many people don't know this about me right now, because I've since got rid of that car and have a new car now. But I used to have an art car that I hand painted myself. I don't have any pictures floating around of the car, and all the digital pictures I have, like, you can't really... Anyway, it was just kind of a pain in the butt to try and track down a picture. So, I had a 2002 Ford Taurus station wagon. It was black, and I painted it so it had this huge sun and moon on the hood, and like the flares from the sun like wove and swirled down the sides of the car, and it had hearts and flowers and all these beautiful, all these like tie-dye looking colors all over it, and it was just so much fun. And I named it Midnight the Magic Wagon. And I took it to shows, I took it to art car parades, I took it to art festivals, and I even got invited to bring it to like carnivals and stuff at some of the schools where I drove my bus out of. And everybody loved Midnight, but unfortunately Midnight got really old and really rickety, and in my mind, like, I just couldn't cope with it anymore. So I traded it in and bought my little Mitsubishi that I have now, my little green car that you guys have seen in a previous video, I think. But yeah, that was my favorite project, was painting Midnight. Poor old Midnight. It took me almost a month to get the paint job done because I had to work outdoors. I did start out actually using the wrong kind of paint for certain colors because I was thinking that, I don't know what I was thinking. I just remember going, oh my god, this is the wrong kind of paint. Just put some paint on the car in one spot, then come out the next morning and it's all like gross looking because it didn't dry or something like that. And so, but yeah, I mean, I took Midnight everywhere. People constantly were getting out their phones and cameras to take pictures of Midnight. People would ask me about it all the time, and or I'd be sitting, like, I'd be inside of a store or in a restaurant and like look out the window just to look at my car, and like there'd be people out there like walking around like looking at it and stuff. And so yeah, I mean, I really do miss Midnight because it was such a fun car, and also like because the cargo space in the station wagon, oh my god, there's no comparison. Poor Lucky that I have right now, that car is so tiny. I mean, I'm lucky to get anything in there. So, but if you want to see what Midnight looks like, you can go to a Facebook page called Midnight the Magic Wagon. Somebody else owns Midnight now. In fact, a few people that I know have spotted Midnight and like sent me Facebook messages, or just kind of, you know, asked me like, you don't still have that car, do you, that you used to have? I'm like, no. So, well, I saw it today. So somebody here in town actually bought the thing at the auction, which I'm really surprised. It must be somebody who's a complete idiot or somebody who has a lot of money and can deal with the constant breakdowns and the constant stuff that's constantly wrong with that car. So yeah. So anyway, that's my favorite project, was painting my car, and if I ever do another art car, it'll probably be like way in the future, and it would not be the car that I drive on a daily basis. It would have to be like a little project car that I can just kind of keep in the garage with a tarp over it, and then take it out like once a week and drive it around, or take it to shows. Just because like a car that I drive every day, I figured out by now that like I really just want to keep its resale value up, and I feel like a paint job on a car, like a car that I drive on a daily basis, will kind of ruin that. So, but yeah, best cars that lend themselves well to art carring are cars that are like a little older, you know, that you can get for just like $500 or $600, that run good enough. You don't have to have air conditioning or heat in an art car, really, especially if you're only going to drive it like twice a month or something. So, but yeah, that was my favorite project. I hope that answered your question. So, but what gives me inspiration, or is it what can do? Well, when I painted my car, it just kind of came to me. I just decided I was going to do it one day, and I went and did it, and that was kind of how it went. But usually things that do inspire me when it comes to my art and my crafts are always going to be things in nature. things in nature and things that, I guess, things that have to do with music and culture, really. I mean, most of my art and craft mostly these days has to do with clothing or accessories, things like that, so obviously it's going to be goth and punk or death rock or something like that. So, but all my other stuff, like if I do a painting or if I'm gonna make a wreath, or if I do something like that, my inspiration usually does come from nature. I mean, I've been like a huge forest child pretty much ever since I was a really young kid. I spent all my time outside when I was a kid, so that's where I get my inspiration. Okay, so can I get that in black is asking. There's probably about 15 or 17 questions here, and I will try to answer them all. This is a good challenge. So, what is your favorite food? I would have to say that my favorite food is my grandmother's crab cakes. Other members of the family can in fact make them since she passed away in 1997, but it's just not the same. It's kind of like it's not the same, your grandmother fixes you breakfast, or your grandmother combs your hair for you, or your grandmother, comes and tucks you in at night or something. Somebody else does it, it's not the same because it's not from your grandmother. So yeah, so I kind of miss, like, helping her pick the shells out of the crab meat and stuff, and just kind of being around, and she'd like fix me a chocolate milk or whatever while she'd be making them, and or like, she always had a big stash of popsicles in the fridge or something. So yeah, that's something that's my favorite food for sure, crab cakes. So, do you enjoy cooking and are you good at it? I went to chef school. I do enjoy cooking and I am very good at it. Do you enjoy reading? Yes, I do. I don't read fiction or novels as much as I used to. These days my reading is mainly like informative type stuff. Like if I want to know something, I'll look it up. So, hopefully that answers that question. Do you prefer Dracula or Carmilla? I'd have to say I'm a Dracula chick, I have to say. Do you care which brand of makeup you use? Any favorites? Yes, actually. I do like Urban Decay, but I also tend to go for just kind of whatever makeup they have available, like at Walmart or the grocery store or someplace like that. Whatever is kind of inexpensive. Like if I'm looking for a color, I'll just go find that color and buy it. There's the hammering. If I want that color, I'll go find it and I just kind of grab it. I'm not really that picky, but as far as like if I want something really, really specific that I know that like the cheap store brands are not going to have, brands like Maybelline or L'Oreal, and then I'll go to like Sephora and I'll pick up some like Urban Decay, or like I might order something online. It's been a long time since I've ordered makeup, so I can't recall the brand names of any that I've used that I've ordered. So, let's see. What project that you made is your favorite? Well, that was my car. So, hopefully I nailed that answer down for you. Skirts or pants? I gotta say I'm a pants person. I do like really long t-shirts though, just kind of like hide the pudding pocket, I guess you could say, because I'm kind of fat. So, lace or leather? I'd have to say both. I like the sort of the vampire style gothic or Victorian gothic where there's like lots of lace or ribbon and things like that, but also tend to like death rock or punk, where there's more leather involved. Do you use a backcombing brush or just a regular comb? Well, let me show you guys my combs, because I brought those over here too. See, I'm very blunt and very thorough. That's something that I take pride in. Alright, I have the entire comb drawer right here. So, I have a regular styling brush. This can be used for teasing. These bristles are relatively soft, they're not particularly stiff, so really they're better for like if you have thinner hair, I guess. That'll, kind of push your hair towards your scalp as you tease. Now these are awesome if you want to do like a really tight sort of tease, or faux dreadlocks even, or like if you want some like bangs that look kind of dreadlock like. In fact, actually I used to have dreadlocks, and this is what was used to install them. These are flea combs from the pet store, by the way. This one's got like a nice squishy handle on it. Here's a teasing and detangling comb. This also works very well. I have very thick hair, so this is actually the one that I use the most. Regular, just sort of a paddle brush. I use this when I blow dry, just so that my hair is not like poof, frizzy. Because because I do like it to be straight before I tease it, otherwise it doesn't tease properly. And when I go to comb the tease out, and I'm sitting here down here going, ow, 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 I'm using this thing. This is the torture device. And here is my, like, really terrible piece of shit crimper. It works, but it gets very hot. And, like, this side here always wants to, like, snap apart. So I put a zip tie on there so that it doesn't do that anymore. So I'm not having to squeeze it back shut while I'm using it. Alright, so there's my combs. Now, next question. Do you have a favorite brand of hairspray? This stuff, it really is like glue. You only need to use a little tiny bit and it will hold all day, and it will hold very well. So, yeah. And also it's a nice bright color. Let's see, most embarrassing thing that happened to you in public. Probably when I knocked a mailbox over with the tail end of my bus. When I got back to the bus compound that morning, my coworkers were all singing the song Psycho Killer, except instead of Psycho Killer, they were saying Mailbox Killer. I didn't really live that down for a while. And when all the kids in the bus were going, oh, hold your mailboxes a little closer tonight, or, oh, there's a mailbox lined in chalk. Do you have any recurring dreams? Actually, no, I don't, but I have had precognitive dreams. And my dreams tend to be very, very vivid and very real-like. In fact, I will wake up from a dream and think that it actually had happened. And then after a few minutes, and I kind of like come to, and like I'm not fuzzy anymore. Oh, that was a dream. I don't actually have wings coming out of my back, or stuff like that. So, do you own any vests? The only vest I own really is I took a hoodie and like chopped the sleeves out of it, and I'm going to actually sew some patches on it at some point. It's just a matter of finding patches that are small enough to go where I want them to go. I'm just sort of waiting for the right patches and the right t-shirts to come along too, so I can cut them up and then sew it on. So no, not really, I wouldn't say I own any vests, although what I would like to do is go to Walmart or Target or someplace like that and get like some of the heavier men's shirts that have collars, cut the sleeves out, sew them so that it fits me like an hourglass, and then embellish it with things like frills or lace, or make it more interesting and gothic looking. Let's see, do you have any problems with your students' parents based around your appearance? Actually, no, I do not. The people who I get the most problems from when it comes to my job and my appearance, honestly, are the bitches in the front office at the schools. And yes, they are snooty bitches too. They usually give me dirty looks. They can't stand the fact that they have to let me in to use the bathroom. They don't like the fact that I'm there. They don't like the fact that I get to express myself, that like I have the same rights as them, and I choose to, but I choose to utilize that right in a more abstract way. They can't stand it. They won't talk to me. So, and also the teenagers, usually some of them will get up on the bus in the morning and act really stupid. They get up on the bus and stop in the stepwell of the bus and go, "Whoa, what happened to your hair?" And I just don't say a word to them. But one kid, I did ask her back. I said, "Nothing happened to my hair. What happened to your hair?" And she's like, "Don't be rude." And I'm like, "Girlfriend, you were just rude. If you can't take it, then don't dish it out." And she didn't say a word to me the whole rest of the bus ride. So no, not from the parents. Not a single one. No phone calls to the bus compound. No, nothing. My elementary kids think I'm Mary Poppins. Like I'm a goth version of Mary Poppins. It's hilarious. No problems there. So, are you a fan of Blue Tingle? I wouldn't say I'm a fan of Blue Tingle. I do enjoy their music, and I think that their styling is really cool, and I do think that they're talented, definitely, but I really haven't listened to enough of their stuff to determine whether or not I would call myself a fan. So, but I do enjoy them. So, oddest thing you've ever seen someone do in public. Oh my god. I could give you a whole list, because keep in mind, at my job, I spend collectively 6 hours driving around in public, so I'm going to see a lot of interesting things. The strangest thing I ever saw someone do in public was I was driving downtown, actually, and this actually happened, I was in my car, and I pulled up to a red light, and here comes the city transit, the TART bus, pulls up next to me, And here comes this guy crossing the street. I'm pretty sure he was a homeless guy because he was really like kind of dirty and raggedy and like he hadn't changed his clothes for a while and he was really rough looking. And he's carrying this box. And he stops right in front of the Tark bus and stares up at the driver and starts yelling and ranting and rambling. And he won't move. The light turned green and like everybody else drove away and the Tark driver was like laying on the horn and she was doing like this, like, move, idiot, you know, and he wouldn't move. And so like I pulled away and I was looking in my rearview mirror and I could still see him standing there with holding his box yelling at this bus driver. So that was one of the strangest things I've seen, and like the strangest things I've seen people do in public. The funniest thing I ever saw someone do in public, now this was on one of my bus routes. I was dropping off my elementary kids about 5 years ago, and I pull up to a stop, and this little girl had her older brother always got her off the bus in the afternoon. And so he's walking their dog. So in one hand he's got the dog leash, but I kept seeing him doing like this. And so when he turned around, I saw that he had a can of Ready Whip, and he was shaking it. And then he tilted his head back and went and like mushed it around in his mouth and swallowed it. And then he'd walk the dog a couple more feet, shake the can again, and do the same thing. He repeated, he would do this like every time he walked about 10 or 11 feet, walking the dog. It was so funny to watch this kid do this. And a part of me was kind of thinking, his parents are going to be looking for that Ready Whip later, and they're not going to be happy. Okay, so that's those questions. Alright, next. The Mr. Lego Pizza Man. Is this... Okay, I think he meant to say does this. Does this count as a stupid question? Okay, that is all that's there. That's completely, exactly all he says. And so, here's my answer to that. Not necessarily, because I think that I'm going to talk about stupid questions for a second and say that the only really stupid question is the one that you do not ask. Because now I sound like an 8th grade math teacher. But anyway, and this question actually does have some philosophical value. Asking, is this a stupid question? Is that question itself a stupid question? No, it's just sort of void. It just kind of cancels itself out. It's a neutral question. There we go. And Jessica Smizzle's DIYs from the Dark Side. Could you let us know your top 3 favorite horror or thriller movies? Well, I've got more than 3. Now, but my favoriteest like horror thriller movie of all time would have to be Silence of the Lambs. I've loved this movie ever since I was really young, actually. Way too young to be watching this sort of stuff. And I remember like having this like extreme admiration for the character Clarice Starling. And also, in a way, I kind of is having this like odd sort of like sympathy and relating sort of feeling to Hannibal Lecter. Like, Hannibal Lecter is somebody that I could like totally chill out and drink tea with and like talk about stuff with. I mean, he seems like he'd be really cool to hang out and talk to. But as far as the other characters go, I remember being like, you know, really little in school, and all the other girls, all they could talk about when, you know, you asked them, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, I want to be a movie star. I want to marry a handsome prince. I want to be a beauty queen. Like, that was their answer. And I just always was so disgusted by other kids growing up, and I think it's because I just perceived them as so shallow and so one-dimensional. But if someone asked me what I wanted to be, what I wanted to, when I grew up, you know, I would say, you know, I want to be like Clarice Starling because she is brilliant and she's brave and she catches a serial killer. That would have been my answer. Alright. Next up, I don't know if this really counts as horror, but Solomon Kane. I do really like this movie. It's a lot of fun to watch. And it's also really good storytelling. And then another one that I really like that's, I guess, sort of a thriller slash horror movie would have to be The Skeleton Key. Just because it's just so entertaining to like listen to the way the story's written. They incorporate the voodoo and the hoodoo into the story, and it's just so interesting to like see how that kind of plays in. It just adds a really, really interesting detail for the sake of storytelling. and how the end, like, kind of, the first time I watched it, I really wasn't catching on as to what was going on, what was about to happen at the end, and when I saw it and like it hit me all of a sudden, like, oh my god, that's a bit of a shocker, yeah. So, and I've also got The Omen. I remember sitting and watching this when I was like in the 2nd grade, and my mom walked in the room, she's like, oh my god, what the hell are you watching? You cannot watch that. That's a scary movie, it's gonna give you nightmares, it's inappropriate, blah blah blah. And I'm like, but I'm enjoying it, it's a good story. So what my parents didn't understand when I was a kid was that regardless of what it is I was watching or reading, whether or not it was considered inappropriate or if it wasn't age appropriate, if it was a good story and I was comprehending what was happening, I could enjoy it and not, you know, and it wouldn't bother me. My favorite movie of all time, this is actually more of a sci-fi thriller. This is my favorite movie, like, ever, in the whole damn world. But, Blade Runner. And there you have it. So that's more than 3, sorry. And Jessica Smizzle's DIYs from the Dark Side also asks, I guess because I mentioned in my previous video about a new medication that's making me feel a little funny and I'm having a hard time adjusting to it. If you don't mind me asking, what medication is it? She says it's not a Q&A question though. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. And I don't mind her asking the question at all whatsoever. She's not rude about it. I mean, like, if she had said, what meds are you on? Then I would have been like, oh, I'm not answering that, no. But no, she's polite about it, and I don't mind talking about it. I'm pretty open and pretty blunt, so it's Abilify. I'm gonna someday I'll make a video about, like, the whole story of why I'm kind of fucked up from the neck up. Well, in a nutshell, I have the problem with my brain where I've had suicidal thoughts ever since I was a child. I never really told anybody about it though. But anyway, yeah, things in the last few years had gotten really, really bad for me. I was missing a lot of work. My anxiety was causing me to not even want to leave the house. My hygiene kind of wasn't as good as it ought to be. And so I finally was just like, you know, I can't live like this. You know, not an I'm going to kill myself because I can't live like this kind of way, but more like I just had a really bad suicidal spell. And my boyfriend finally kind of talked me into, he's like, you really need to see a crazy doctor and you need to get a correct diagnosis for whatever it is you're experiencing. And so I kind of just figured to myself, you know, if I don't get help for this, my daughter is going to be the kid at school whose mother committed suicide. And that's not what I want. That's not what anybody wants. So yeah, I have a place in this world, I belong here, even though I don't always feel like that. So yeah, so my doctor put me on Abilify, and it's working. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. I'm actually getting out of bed at like 4:30 in the morning, and like putting on makeup and doing my hair and stuff, and I'm staying busy and productive, and I actually want to go to work and be around people. I actually left the house yesterday, took my daughter up to the park, and we walked around in the park for a couple hours. I never would have done that before. So yeah, it's working. So there you go. There is Sunday Q&A. I know it was probably kind of a really long video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any more questions, if you want anything you want to know, always post it. Always from now on, if you want to know something, if you have a Q&A question for me, post it in the comments underneath the Sunday Q&A, okay? And I'll look through it, and I'll pick up the questions, and I'll answer those questions the next Sunday, like the following Sunday. If there's enough questions. If it's just like 1 or 2 questions and I can't really elaborate as much, and it's not going to be like at least a 10 or 15 minute long video, then I'm not really going to bother. I'll just bank them and then wait till there's more questions and then do it all at once, like the next Sunday. So yeah, put your questions underneath this video if you want another Q&A, and I'll be happy to answer more questions. So, but in the meantime, have a wonderful rest of the day wherever you are. Make sure to like and share, and do subscribe to my channel. And I'll catch you kids later.